through fire with shadows on my heels. Scars turned to stories that taught me to feel. Lost in the silence, found in the flame. Now wear my battle cry without shame. This isn't the end, it's where I begin. A soul that remembers the fire within.
Welcome back to another episode of A Warrior Spirit, brought to you by Praxis 33. I'm your host, Daryl Snow. Let's dive in. Every once in a while, really special people come on my show, and I appreciate all of them. Today I have Dr. Erika Mateus. She's a licensed clinical social worker. She's a PhD, an author, and a transformational coach. And she helps high achievers break internal limitations, embody self-authority, and create aligned success personally and professionally. She's also the author of Winning Mentality, The 8 Secrets of High Achievers, and the creator of the Winning Mentality, which is a transformative system that blends psychology, neuroscience, consciousness to help you turn stress, burnout, and self-doubt into clarity, confidence, and emotional mastery. And I love anyone who's in psychology because that's my background. And so, Dr. Erika Mateus, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is just amazing. So thank you.
I, over the years of doing my show, there's a great number of people that I've interviewed that I know either through groups or circles or inner action. And then there's a handful that I just have watched online and seen their journey. You fall into that category. And I've really respected what you have brought to help others, especially through your background, your psychology and your neuroscience, but also that you've started to share your personal story and your personal journey. And the reason I respect that so much is because oftentimes, especially, people see the DR in front of your name and they think, oh, she's got it all. But behind that got it all, you went through it all to get there, right? Everything wasn't unicorns and sunshine. There was some struggles and hardships as well. So it makes you relatable to anyone going through it. So I just appreciate you coming here to share some of that journey with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now, your accent is not Virginian, which is where which is where you're hailing from.
Yes.
So where are you from, and what's your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Colombia, South America.
Okay.
So it's been 25 years in the US, and the accent is still the same. It doesn't go away no matter how much effort I work on it, try to speak all the time in English, think in English, process in English. The accent is what it is. So 25 years.
And how old were you when you came to the United States?
I was 23.
Oh. Well, what brings a 23-year-old from Colombia to the United States? Because usually immigration is either later in life or earlier in life, usually not typically in the middle of life. So what brought you to the U.S.?
That's a beautiful question because, so yes, I was no longer a teenager, but also I was not, in my 30s or anything like that. And I was lost. Back in Colombia, I was lost. I was trying so many different things. I was doing so many different things, and the path wasn't clear. So one day, I woke up. I said, I need to do something. I need to work on something because this is not taking me anywhere. And that's when I said, why not the US? I mean, you always, when you are in Colombia or any other third world country, you hear amazing things about the United States of America. And I was like, that's it. That's where I'm going. But obviously, all this was with so many ups and downs. And as I said, I was completely lost, changing things and doing so many things. And something needed to happen back then. And that was it.
Do you have a big family or a small family?
I come from a very small family, and my parents were divorced. I was living with my mom. I don't have any siblings or anything like that. And it was just my mom and I, and my aunt and my grandmother, but that's it. That was the family. So, not a big family, a very small family, but a very big ambition. I can tell you that much.
And sometimes in smaller families like that, when one of the people in the dynamics wants to leave, it causes like anxiety in the rest of the family. Were they very supportive of you coming to the US, or were they kind of like, Erica, what are you doing?
More like that, more like, what's wrong with you? Do you need to go to the doctor? Like, are you thinking this thoroughly and carefully? Like, what's wrong? Especially my mom, she was in total disbelief. Like, if you ask me, she was like in panic, as well as my grandmother. Being a girl, being the only girl, the oldest in my family, the rest of my family, that I have cousins, they're male cousins, not any other female. They were always looking after me. What the girl wants, is she okay? All these kind of things, especially grandma. And when I told her, hey, I'm leaving, they were like, no, you really need to go and see a psychologist right now.
When you made that decision, and I applaud you, especially as a young woman, to that would have been in the mid '90s coming here, early 2000s.
Early
To
2000.
come to the United States in the midst of everything that was going on in our country. Um, what was your game plan? Did you just throw a dart at a map and go where it landed, or did you like research some stuff out and draw like this is where I want to go?
Yeah. So, again, I was lost. So my future was also, not very well defined. I didn't have the tools. I don't think I even have the mentality. I didn't have the growth, but there was something in my heart at that point in life that kept saying, hey, you really need to do something. Okay. So when you ask me if I have a definite purpose, when I was coming, I have to be completely honest with you. My purpose was to leave behind what it was and start something new. What? I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. But the purpose was to leave behind that version of me and find my path, you know? And you even said it. I came here in the early 2000s. Well, that's part of the story that I love, because that was when the 9/11 happened. And I don't know if you read part of that story, but everybody was like, you can go. Like, it's 9/11. Have you watched the news? Have you done the research? I mean, this is the Third World War. What are you going to be doing in the US? And everybody was panicking. And I was like, this is something that I have to do, even with this.
It
And I
takes
just follow that intuition.
Well, it takes a certain amount of faith and belief in yourself that you can make it, that you can do it, that whatever your belief is, God, spirit, universe, however you define it, is going to be with you and look out for you and set a path that is clear if you just take the first steps to go. So it
Mhm.
takes an enormous amount of courage to do that. And so, I applaud you. Where did you decide was going to be your first? Where did you land?
Where? In Miami, Florida. That was my first place.
And how long did you stay there?
Oh, 6 months, only
Okay.
6 months. And then I moved up to Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's an interesting move. Like
Yeah, right?
I've lived all over the United States, and I've never once said, "Ooh, Washington D.C. is where I want to go," especially during 9/11 and all the craziness that's there. What prompted, like, that's kind of a unique landing spot. What got you there?
So I'm from Bogota, Colombia. Bogota is the capital. So I'm used to, to live in the city. I'm used to traffic. I'm used to the busyness of the capital. So when I was in Miami, I was like, well, I'm not going to learn any English in Miami, first and foremost. And the thing at that moment, once I got here, it was like communication. I need to communicate with people if I want to be successful, if I want to find a job. I need English, I need English. I need to blend in. And if I was staying in Miami or any other state that it was just like that, I was not going to be able to blend in and communicate and learn the culture and, be part of this. So what was better than Washington, D.C.? Let me go to the capital. That seems familiar, right? It's the city.
I love how your brain works. So how long did it take you once you were here and started your assimilation and your process? How long did it take you to decide that you were going to get a doctorate degree? And I told you off camera, I used to help people get their doctorate degree. So at the university I worked at here, so I understand what that takes. And not many people just randomly decide, I'm going to put a DR in front of my name. What prompted you to go that level?
Hmm. That's a very good question. Well, I love how it sounds. I know it sounds silly, but I have to be honest with you. Dr. Erika Mateus, there was something about that it was always appealing, you know? And I truly believe that regardless of your motives, you have to have the desire. So the desire needs to be so strong for you to achieve something that sometimes seems impossible to achieve. And the doctor was like a dream. And I was always like, there gotta be more. There gotta be more. And by the way, always, I've been very passionate about human behavior. I observe behavior. I go into, the mindset, humanity, the cultural approach, and all this. So it's been a topic for years. And just, I don't know, I was always thinking my journey doesn't stop with a master's degree. It needs to be more than that. What else is out there? And then the answers weren't enough for me to understand the complexity of humanity. And I think that's what prompted me to go into this doctorate degree and become a doctor.
And what was your thesis on?
So I study the power of, not the power, what am I saying? Willpower. So I truly believe in cognitive behavioral therapy. That's when I go into therapy. And willpower and the willingness to do the thing that we need to do makes me question why some people do it and why some people don't, knowing the benefits of doing the right thing. So I went deeper into the willpower and the cognition and behavior. And I studied all that, dissected it like an onion, like I went so deep into this. Trying.
I only have a master's, but it's in psychology. So anything in the brain, I have that same passion. And it's funny because when I was getting my degree, I was looking at human behavior, and I was thinking, it's 2,000 plus years later, and we're still asking the same basic question: why are we here, and what's my purpose?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the evolution of man did not put the evolution of that question out of reach. It's still, what is my purpose? So, in a moment, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to find out more about your purpose once you got here. So we'll be right back.
So, when did you realize the noise in your head wasn't actually your voice? When I noticed every thought sounded borrowed. Fear, pressure, old scripts, just running on repeat. That's why I listen to Breakthrough Radio. Scripture, truth, conversations that actually reset the way you think. Breakthrough Radio, because what you hear shapes who you become. Listen daily.
Alrighty, welcome back to the show, and we're sitting with Dr. Erika Mateus, and we're talking about her transition from lost girl in Colombia to someone who's trying to assimilate and survive and thrive in the U.S. And Erika, when you came to the U.S., now, if people look at your life online now, they'll see success and they'll see, some of the things that occurred because of your dedication and your hard work. But you didn't come to this country with a silver spoon in your hand, right?
Right. Yes.
So when you arrived here, was it pretty much the clothes on your back and the money in your pocket?
Yes. So it's so funny because I remember that day as if it was yesterday. So I got here to the US on September 29, 2001. Okay. So this is a few months later after the 9/11. Oh, no, the same month. What am I saying? The same month, a few days later after the attacks. And I was like, I remember having this big bag full of clothes, probably super old clothes, and $1,000 in my pocket. That was everything that I have. And that was me. And I didn't have anything else. When I left Colombia, I told you I'm coming from a very small family. By all means, I'm far away from being rich back home. Life sometimes was difficult, and even saving $1,000, it was like wow, super difficult. But for me, I was feeling rich. Like as soon as I got here at the airport with my bag and my $1,000, I was like the richest girl in the world. And getting that money, as I said, it was so complicated. But then in acknowledging that was like what opened all the doors later, to be who I am now. Because not only I value money so much or learn how to value that money, uh, also making it, also saving it, also spending it, and seeing other people, when they're saying they don't have the means or how am I going to do this? Okay, well, there's a way. There's always a way. But coming here with $1,000 that it took me so long to save, feeling like the richest girl on the planet to conquer the United States, the States of America, it was huge. You cannot imagine. And then once I was here, how I was going to be budgeting everything with $1,000 because nobody support me. That was the only money. That was it. And I needed to work. I needed to find my future, to find my path.
So what did you do because I've lived out of my car. I've been homeless. I've sold plasma for gas money. I know what it's like to live on the streets, and I know what it's like to have to work yourself out of that. And willpower and determination is part of it, but you also have to have some people along the path who also help you, whether it be give you a free meal, or in my case, they gave me a night on their couch. So did you find, and I think that was actually a good time to come here because we were kinder as a whole to everybody for a little while, after the attacks. Did you find that people were willing to help you and give you some of that extra to help stretch your money and get you on your feet?
hmm You know what? It's funny what I'm going to say, but in my mind, the way that I think is always kind of like everything's going to be okay. I'm going to be taken care of. Those are thoughts are so ingrained in my head, believe it or not, not just someone offering something. It was that, okay, I can clean houses. And if I clean houses, because that's what I did, or, some of the things I did to survive, I connected with someone that it was renting me a room for cheap. And then that person connected me to another person that it was actually looking for a receptionist. And then I ended up working in an office. And then once I was in an office, I was like, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And I read the whole dictionary to be able to answer the phones. And what I'm telling you is actually the truth. I read the whole dictionary to be able to answer the phones in English. And I'm like, people were seeing, that level of effort and discipline and commitment. I was already, 24 years old, maybe doing that. And every morning reading the dictionary. And I remember the people that were showing up in my life connecting me to one source or the other were also the ones saying, oh, but you can go to Northern Virginia Community College and start ESL, English as a second language. or you can do this. And everything starts flourishing like that, you know? And I found the people, I found the believers and believe in me and my faith, and everything's going to be okay, Erika. Everything's going to be okay. And everything was always okay, you know?
And I think mindset is part of it because, like I said, when I was living in the streets, my mindset was I'm going to do whatever it takes to get off these streets. I'm not going to live out of my car forever. I'm going to pick myself up. I got myself here. I'm going to get myself out of here. And and then doors opened and things happened. And I believe that God or universe or, again, whatever people want to call it, conspire to work with you when you show you're willing to work with it.
Yes.
When you give up and you throw your hands up and say, "Oh, this is the best it's going to be," well, then you're right. That's the best it's going to be. But when you dig in and say, "There's more and I'm worth more," then you get more, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, your story is awesome too. Like, thank you so much for sharing that portion of you as well in this
Well,
interview.
I appreciate it because I think it's important that, people don't just see where we are, they know where we came from to get here, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So
Absolutely.
it took you quite an effort to earn your doctorate. I know that personally, and I know what it takes to do thesis style writing.
Mhm.
And so after you did thesis style writing, you decided you're going to write another book?
Yes.
One time was not enough? You're like,
Um,
I'm gonna.
as difficult as it was, believe me, because obviously English is not my first language, but yeah. I did
So
it.
describe this book, The Winning Mentality, The 8 Secrets of High Achievers. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit on your wording on that because I think that these secrets are not just for high achievers. I think they're for everybody who wants to achieve anything.
I'll take the
And
challenge.
yeah, so describe your book.
Yeah. So my book, The Winning Mentality, is a compilation precisely of the story that I just shared with you. Okay. When I came here, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about personal growth. I didn't know what I was going to do, but there was something so deep inside of me that told me that I needed to do this. So I followed that. I followed the intuition. Even when people, my mother, my grandmother, and maybe a few friends here and there were like, how crazy you are. We can't believe that you are being you. So I challenged all that and I came here, and it's been the best thing I ever done in my entire life. Okay, so this is me, this is my life, and I will not change it for anything. I don't regret any of it. So that book shows exactly how I did it, what I did, and the steps that I follow. So it's not just a book that I wrote after my thesis, it's a whole long life, 20 plus years of me thinking, how did I get here? What was it that I did? I mean, what is my story? So I started with the story, and then, oh, I put some effort into this. Oh, then I thought about this, and then this, and this, and this. And I realized that there were 8 secrets or 8 steps, right? Um, and it was like so clear in my mind, they're all so clear that I have that need to put it in writing and give this to other people because I truly believe, and I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart, anyone, regardless of the background, the ethnicity, the color, the texture, whatever you want to say, anyone has the capacity, the gift to achieve anything they want. And you're right, I love the challenge about the 8 secrets for high achievers. I need to think about that, so I'll take it.
Well, it's interesting to me. I'm always fascinated when people come here from a different country and assimilate into the culture and then just knock it out of the park, either personally or professionally or both, because they had the will and the determination to actually do the work necessary. And I look at people who were born in this country, who take it for granted, who think work is a 4-letter word that they should never touch. and they think that everything should be handed to them, so they get an entitlement, mentality, and then their life stalls and flounder. And it's always amazing to me that outside immigrants come here and just take full advantage of the opportunity to succeed because they did the work necessary to succeed. And I applaud you for all of that. So, it takes quite a bit. I'm going to go back to your book here. Here's what we're talking about. This is from some of your philosophy. Most people think success is about motivation, willpower, and hustle. It's not. Success is about emotional regulation under pressure and the right strategies. Can you explain that, please?
Absolutely. So we live in a world that is so competitive, right? And we associate success with being competitive, with the survival mode. But in reality, when you look at that, that's not real success. And the reason is, and that's why I'm mentioning it right there, is because you can go into any environment, but if you are super stressed out, super anxious, super depressed, if you're receiving everything from the world, taking it, processing it, and making it all yours without having the emotional regulation, the emotional stability, and working from the inside out, then you continue trying and trying and trying, but the world might be collapsing in front of you. So the real success is you learning, because life is never going to change and situations are going to happen, continue happening outside of you. But the moment that you start kind of like, okay, this is who I am. The world is from the inside out. This is a projection of me. I'm mirroring myself into the world. How can I get there? Then you start regulating yourself with so many different tools and strategies and things that you can do to keep yourself centered. Okay, because if you don't have that level of being grounded, things become more difficult to achieve. So in my own story, the way that I achieved that success was by being, okay, this is happening to me. How am I reacting to it? Oh, I can react in this way. I'm checking myself. I'm becoming self-aware. I can relax. I can think about this and I move forward. But if something is happening to me and I'm constantly reacting, I'm postponing success. You see what I'm saying? So it comes with that self-regulation and projecting the world from the inside out and not the other way around.
And I think a lot of people get it wrong that if they do more or hustle more, that they'll be more successful, and not. I'm speaking from 60 years of experience. Doing more and being more and hustling more just gets you more tired because you don't give yourself any time for that self-regulation, for that self-reflection. You can do way more off the hamster wheel in a focused, intentional manner than you can just always chasing and running, because busy is not productive. Busy
Correct.
and a full calendar and always got something going on does not make you successful. It just makes you tired. You have to have those moments, and that's why I love even in your transformative system. This picture of you, calm is my strategy, presence is my power, and then your website, that is so dynamic. Like anyone who actually looks at this photo can see the calm and the power intermixed just in the presence that photo displays.
Yes. And I have to tell you that getting into that point, it was a journey. Like 20 years ago, when I started meditating, probably my mind was all over the place. Like I couldn't even sit still for like 2 seconds. I was constantly thinking. And that's where the growth comes from, like I start quieting the mind, putting more purpose in it. At that point, probably not understanding the connection between success and calmness. Obviously, now it's super clear, as you can see. But everything has been evolving and developing to get to this point in which I come from my center. I act from my center. And when I act from my center in alignment, in total alignment, then I can be truly successful. Okay? Because the things that are happening to me are just happening, but I'm not reacting. And I have the awareness and the ability to separate both things and remain still in the midst of chaos, if that's making sense.
Absolutely, it makes sense. And I don't want to sugarcoat your journey at all because you said you were struggling without direction in Colombia. And just because you came here with a purpose doesn't mean everything was all, sunshine and rainbows. You went through some things here as well that got you to where you are today. Can you describe some of those struggles that you have had to still overcome?
Yes, yes, no, absolutely. So, survival mode is real. And when you are in survival mode, you do whatever you need to do, you know? So from cleaning houses, from serving in restaurants or bars or whatever, I was just trying to find the means to survive until I was actually hired in a organization to be the receptionist. That's when I read the whole dictionary and learned a little bit more of English. But then years later, I made a conscious choice to join the military as well. And when I joined the military, I even got deployed to Afghanistan. And when I was deployed in Afghanistan, a lot of things started happening that made me actually think about my journey, think about my path, and get even closer to my belief that you can achieve peace mentally, that is an energy that comes from within. And all these obstacles or the sort decisions that I was making were by all means super difficult. And I questioned myself, why am I doing all this? From one thing to the other, not having the stability, not having the control that I wanted back then. But then I realized, and this is the thought that it was actually very awakening for me. Being in Afghanistan one day, I got in a position of helping other people, that they were very emotionally distressed. And that's when I was like, let me think about this. That was the aha moment. So it was difficult, very challenging. And then I have this aha moment. What if my calling is to work directly with people, support them, help them, develop my inner peace and calmness of the mind, study consciousness, and give this to people. So all this happened in Afghanistan. And when you ask me about the obstacles, because not everything was sugar-coated, you're absolutely right. It was one thing after the other, probably still lost in translation. I knew that I was here. This was my end goal, blending in with the culture, learning the language, but still, I didn't know anything until I joined the military. I was taken to Afghanistan, and in the middle of something crazy, I was like, booyah, this is why. It makes sense now, And I was already in my 30s, and that's when I said, I'm going to study social work. I'm going to become a clinical social worker. Mid-30s, Daryl.
And here you are now transforming lives and helping people because you have gone through, your own journey to understand what it takes to transform a life. You didn't just find success, you found your path. And you said it was in Afghanistan that you had your aha moment. But when did you actually feel the transformative peace that you had been seeking, which caused you to leave your home country in the first place?
You're making me think about that now, because I don't think in my journey it was just one day that I was able to flip the story or to change the story. I think that in my own perspective, it was developing, constantly developing. But why? Because again, remember my mindset, my initial immature mindset, it was everything is going to be okay. Okay. And I've been repeating that ever since I was maybe 8 years old. Everything's going to be okay. I don't know what everything is or means, but that's the mantra. And I think from there it's been developing, and it's been about being in alignment. Now, when you ask me about what it is now, I can tell you exactly what it is. And it is being clear about who you are, what you want. But obviously, we never stop kind of like knowing ourselves completely or knowing others. It's a constant journey. But that clarity is what helps you, and I'm going to use the word that you've been using, is being in alignment. Like, this is my purpose, this is my thing, and because I think this, I say this, and I feel this, I am in Holy Spirit, in alignment with the Holy Spirit, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. To me, it does. I swim in the spiritual pool, so all of that makes perfect sense to me. So, my wife is a spiritual healer, and I am passionate about spirituality. So, all of that makes perfect sense. How anyone who can visually see what we're doing, those who are listening to it on audio can't, but anyone who can visually see what we're doing can see this big shiny rock that you keep on your left hand. How did you meet the person who gave you that big shiny rock?
Oh my gosh. Oh, he's gonna be thrilled about this. Okay. Yes. So my sweet, amazing husband, he's in the military, and we met when I get out of the military. So I was in the Army. I was stationed in Fort Hood, and he was in the Air Force back in that time. And I came back from India. I live in India, and I was doing a lot of, soul search and all this kind of things. And
Eat, pray, love journey. Your eat, pray, love
kind of
journey.
thing, absolutely, yes. No, I went to the Himalayas and met with a monk, and been to the monastery. And when we met, it was like, wow, this is the love of my life. What in the world? What am I missing, girl? Here, It took me a while to get him kind of like, hey, I'm the girl for you. But 2 years later, he was like, I can't live without you. And, this is it. And it's been since 2014, I guess.
Nice. Well, congratulations. And how did you entice him that you were the girl, since you already knew that he was the guy?
Good question. You're not going to believe this, but I kept saying, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And I even told him when he was panicking, I was like, but everything is going to be okay. And you can ask him and he will say, Erika used to say that, let's go with the flow. Everything's going to be okay.
I love that. See, all good things do happen if you do the work, right? You put in the effort to pursue and you got the rewards.
Yes. And I don't know if this is part of your beliefs, or if you've been in touch with this kind of information, but the power of the mind in combination with a strong faith in God and belief gives you everything that you want. So obviously in my marriage, not everything is being rainbows and butterflies. I want to be very authentic and very honest about this. But I always knew that he was the right person, and we're growing, together, learning from each other. And I think that when you have that certain, a lot of things start happening, and you fight for being together, because you have two choices. You either single or you are with someone, but both things are difficult. If you're single, it's difficult. At some point, you want company, and if you're with someone all the time, some days you want to be single and like,
Right.
how my life will be.
Yeah. My wife and I, we've been together 11 years now, and we've both openly said we love each other immensely with beyond our person. But there are days where we don't really like each other. And anyone who's been married understands that that's the dynamics of being married. But you choose each other, and you choose each other daily, and you choose each other in spite of the differences, and you work to make it work.
Absolutely. Yes. And as I said, you have the choice, but every choice in life will have good side effects or good consequences and bad consequences. So which battle do you want to fight, right?
Yep.
What's your choice?
Yeah, I used to say that exact same thing to my children. Everything you do has a consequence. You get to choose whether it's good or bad.
Exactly.
And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
My wife and I follow his, and I love that he's a scientist he's a neuroscientist that embraces the spiritual side, and he complements in both. But he is definitely someone who believes in the power of the mind and what you can do with your mind. And it's fascinating to me, anyone who studies neuroscience, which you have, our brain's only job is to make you right. So if you're feeding it negative and crap, it's going to make that part of you right. If you're feeding it positive outcomes and everything's going to be okay, it's going to help make that right. Now, to me, there's a difference between positive toxicity and being positive. To me, if you're toxic positive, means that you just think everything is sunshine and rainbows, whereas just being positive means that there's a problem, but there's also a solution. And to me, there's a huge difference. So when people come to you, whether it be through the social work or through the internal limitations or, to help align them with the success, what's your starting point? Where do you jump in to help them figure this part out?
Beautiful question. So I always start from where the client is. It's not my journey. It's not what I think is right for them. It's where they are in life. Because you have to understand, and you said something that is so real about Dr. Joe Dispenza. Our brain is plastic. It's neuroplasticity, right? So everything we see and we perceive, we kind of we process it as information because everything is information. So we get the coding and we go into our brain and decode the information and create meaning about whatever it is that we're experiencing at that moment. Okay. So if you, and to answer your question, hopefully I'm not going into something else, but if you start from where you think the client should be, then you're already having bias and then you're already imposing your energy, your beliefs, and your things into the client. And if you really want to create a long lasting change, and if you really want to create a very good relationship with the client, and if the client obviously is participating enough, then giving them the freedom to say where they are in terms of beliefs, ideas, thoughts, feelings, whatever that is, to create this safe space in which you're not affecting and you're not influencing their decisions. Again, because the brain is plastic and the brain is constantly absorbing information from the environment. So that's my starting point always, where they are, what they want.
As a transformation coach, something I've done for a long period of time, that was a big mistake that I made a lot early on, is I always saw them where I saw their potential to be instead of where they were. And then I would get frustrated that they wouldn't match their own potential. And fortunately, I've, overcome that and healed my own thought process to now meet them where they are, which is very hard work. And one of the things that we learn as professional coaches is it's not our job to fix somebody. And that was a really tough concept for me to embrace as someone who's always been a fixer my whole life, to understand that it was not my job nor my responsibility to fix you. My job was to help guide you. And as good teachers say, it's not my job to tell you what to think. It's my job to tell you where to look so you can think for yourself. And I think, I think that happens in relationships too, where one person comes in and tries to fix everything for the other person, and that causes more of the heartache and, arguing than it should. Knowing how to meet someone where they are is a skill set that many of us bypass and forget. We just think we're there to help and fix. So again, the fact that at your young age, you have embraced that and understand that, you're light years ahead of many of us. So kudos to you.
Thank you. It's been a journey, believe me, because uh, I mean, there's been times in which I know exactly what you were saying. Like, I know that person has a lot of potential. Like, come on, we can do this. Like, come on. And you really want to give them all the ideas and give them all the solutions and tell them what to do. But that's not how it works, because everybody level of consciousness is different. The fact that you and I are awakening to this or feel more awake into something doesn't mean that he or she are experiencing the same thing. And one of the biggest things that I have learned in my career is that we're constantly affecting other people energetic field, right? Like, we're constantly reacting and telling them how to think, what to do, how not to do it. Even if we don't say anything, we're role modeling, and the biggest thing for any single human being on the planet is to be impartial, unbiased, and allow the other person to be whatever they want to be, and to express their consciousness, their soul, their divinity, well, I don't know how to say
Divinity.
that word.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah. Your
you.
divinity. Sure.
Their divinity as a self-expression, and it goes back, I don't know if we're getting too philosophical here, but it goes back to what you were saying, the meaning and purpose of life, and the meaning of purpose of life into self-expression, because we are divine people. We have a gift. And when you start kind of like having your opinion, your influence, and all these kind of things onto someone, you change that magnetic field, or you change that freedom of expression. You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, and I don't think on this show we can never get too deep or too philosophical. It's all good. I'm
okay.
curious, as you're saying that, when did your mother and your grandmother embrace your own journey to give you that sovereignty, or have they? Do they
No,
still think you're crazy to be in America? And especially then when you go in the military, they're like, "What, Erica? What are you doing?"
how did I raise you? What
Yeah,
happened?
right.
Where did I fail, God? Poor people. Oh, I
Yeah,
love them, but they were thinking like, where was my mistake? Where my
but
pain?
but when did they embrace your sovereignty to make those type of choices and decisions, especially because you didn't leave with a clear path, you left still kind of floundering.
Yes,
So
yes,
when did they say she's got this?
yes. I think that it was when, out of the blue, and again, working from, a restaurant or serving tables or cleaning houses, I actually got offered to be the receptionist. you know Not that it means more status or anything, but maybe in their mind it meant stability, and they were like, oh, okay, so maybe there's something going on here. But that was their own interpretation. For me, I was still so far away from who I wanted to be. But that's when they were saying, okay, so she got this, okay, let's see where she goes. A receptionist with no English, that's weird, reading the dictionary. And Daryl, let me tell you, the struggle was real. If I tell you, I got phone calls from these important people, and I was like, can you repeat your name? And they will tell me their names here in Washington, D.C. And I'm like, the accent was so difficult. And I'm like, can you repeat, please? And people were so nice. Like, I never, I'm telling you this, I never got someone getting upset. They were actually, I don't know, I think it was divine intervention that they were always like, okay, M as a Mary, A as an apple.
They probably weren't as nice when they hung up the phone. They probably, what the heck is that person
That's
doing?
why 3 months later of being a receptionist, one day my boss came and he said, Erica, we really need to talk. And I said, yes, yes, what's going on? Serious, like, owning the game, the receptionist of the business. And he's like, I think you deserve a promotion. And I said, yeah, to what? Payroll. And I was like, yes, payroll. I can't
Well,
believe
you
that I'm
don't have to
gonna.
talk to anybody.
Years later, I understood his intention, but at that
Yes,
moment, I was like, yes, accounting girl.
right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. He said, never again. You're never going to answer the phones again. I'm losing businesses here.
that's hilarious. So, who is the Dr. Erika Mateus today versus who Erika was 10 years ago?
Huh. Um, Calmer, um, independent, of course, very independent now, more than what I used to be. Um, a thinker, a thoughtful person, analytical, um, ambitious, is still very ambitious, but it's a combined ambitious. It's not just the financial portion, it's also the spiritual portion, the loving portion, the calmness portion. It's more holistic, understanding life for what it is, helping others, that kind of ambition of helping society, being meaningful to this moment in life. So I think that's very different from who I was 20 years ago. Because 20 years ago, when I came here, I was not thinking about helping anybody except for myself. I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be doing this. So I was selfish, naive, I was lost. And now, yes, I embody all this, but I give all this to you. So and I think that is this Erika now. Like, I'm giving everything that I know to you because I believe in you. 20 years ago, no, that's me surviving.
So if someone came to you, and whether they're an immigrant or non-immigrant, but they're still floundering, trying to find their path, and they said, Erika, you did it. What's my first step to doing it? Because everything's going to be okay. Sounds great as a Hallmark card, but to embrace it and embody it is something differently. So how do I get started doing that?
Right. That's a beautiful question, Daryl. And I think the first thing, the first ingredient to this recipe is the desire to do something. If you don't have desire, then and desire could be a lot of things, okay? And desire could be wanting to be better, wanting to do better, wanting to grow, wanting to be healthier, whatever desire is, okay? If you're complacent and settle, nothing is going to change, right? Because you're complacent, you have it all, you feel okay. But when you have the desire how life will be if I was healthier, if I wouldn't have lower back pain every day or knee pain or headaches every day, that right there is the first ingredient to create change, I believe.
And I think it doesn't, and again, this is philosophical, but everything in life starts with a decision, which is a desire. I don't care if it's the painting behind you or the jacket you're wearing or this platform that we're on. Everything started with a desire to create it. And even if that's inner peace, even if that's centeredness, even if that's a better life, it starts with a desire to create that. And then the universe will conspire to help you with your desire. So I think that's a great starting point for everybody. And so what does Dr. Erika Mateus, what does she want her legacy to be?
My legacy is the winning mentality, okay? And why do I call it the winning mentality? Because if today is the last day that I'm here on earth, and it's the only thing that you're gonna ever hear from me is to say, your beliefs creates your reality. You change your beliefs and you change your life. But it starts with the winning mentality. If you don't have the winning mentality, you're not gonna get where you wanna go. And that will be my legacy. Like, you can start creating and having and living this life with no desire, with not willingness to do the thing, with the complacency of life, being settled in it's fine if it's happening to me. So those will be my last words. If today was my last day and this is my last interview, I'll tell you, wake up. The winning mentality is here. It's your beliefs, your mindset. The world is yours.
Well, I'm going to give you one more last word beyond that. I'm going to ask you, what does a warrior spirit or having a warrior spirit mean to Dr. Erika Mateus?
Well, that is kind of like the brother and sister of the winning mentality, overcoming, overcoming the challenges and not allowing adversity to take you away from your path, because adversity is going to happen all the time. Challenges, obstacles, people, all these kind of things. So when I look at the warrior's spirit, is having that winning mentality within you and embracing and embodying that with a feeling, with a purpose, and with a desire. That's what it is to me.
Well, I think you embody that wholeheartedly, and I just appreciate you coming here to share some time with me and share your journey. And I'll continue to follow your success, and I'll grab your book and start that winning mentality as well. So, thank you for doing this today.
Absolutely, Daryl. Thank you for inviting me. I really, really appreciate it.
And if you'd like to get a hold of Erika, you can do so on her website, erikamateus.com, and on her social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And as always, thank you for joining us on this edition of A Warrior Spirit. Be sure to like or subscribe so you catch all the episodes. You can tune in on all the major platforms, as well as on Roku via the Prospera TV app. And remember, the journey is sacred, the warrior is you, so be inspired, be empowered, and embrace the spirit of the warrior within.
It's not just about the fight, it's how we rise from it. This is your prosperity.